We have an app built, but what the heck did it do? We don't really see it. So again, we got to remember we break up our JSF application into three tiers: our view, our model, and our controller. So when we built the entity beans before, we built our model. So when we came by and we have the sales inside here, we built the product. That's our model. This is our product. This is what we're inserting and updating and deleting from the database. And it's all these fancy tags that makes that happen. We'll look at that, as I said, next week, week 5. The view is all the stuff that ends up inside of the web pages folder. And so underneath the product folder, you can see we have a page to create, edit, list, and view. These pages then are HTML. They're JSF pages, Java Server Faces pages, but they're JSP implementations of that. The XHTML is just the way the tool defines them. They could be named anything. These could be .jsp just as easily. But by convention, they're expecting them to be x.html, and they're expecting the name of the file to be represented as what's going to be showing up in the code here. We'll see in a minute. So let's go with the list here, because that's the one we're going to see most often. So when we click on the product view, you can see it goes to list.xhtml. That goes to product.list.html. So it works well. The biggest thing is it goes through faces here. So notice it's first app / faces / product list.xhtml. That's what sets it up with the data. So inside of this page, the most important thing, there's a lot of stuff going on here. You might want to look at this in more detail, take your time, but there is a data table. So this panel group is the way I lay out the page. It shows some buttons on the side of here, previous, next, page nation, all that sort of stuff. Those show up in the form of this right here. There's just one page inside of here, but there's 3 items of 3 items being shown. It shows some information. But once I get to the data table, it lays out the format of my table. It doesn't necessarily have to come in any specific order. We define a header inside of here. So basically in the data table, we defined what data we're going to be looping over. This pound curly bracket is saying, go get me some data from Java. And we're looking in the product controller, we're looking at the items object. Now, as a quick non sequitur, let's go back to our Java source code. Go to the JSF. This is the stuff that gets generated. The controller logic for JSF creates the product controller. And inside of here, there's a method to be able to say get items. Somewhere inside of here, we just scroll, look for it. It's probably down. Yep, there it is at the bottom. Get items. Now, it actually gets a paginated list of items using this data. We don't care about the details, but the point is there's some items inside of here that store some data. We don't have to use a data model. You can use just a straight collection or whatever you want to. If you were building it by hand, this is what gets generated by the tool. It gives us the ability to tie it all in if there's many pages that we're loading back from the database. So that's where this data is coming from. We're going to format it by putting a bunch of columns out there. The first column is the first one that shows up over here. So it's going to be the ID column. And you can see it's bundle.list property titles _ID. What the heck is that? Well, JSF does not put text directly inside of here. It gets text out of this object called the bundle. The bundle stores data, and you can find it inside of here underneath bundle.properties. So if I open up bundle.properties over here, I go back to this file, I can look for this text. So if I copy this over and I go back over here and I do Control F to search on it, and I paste this in, Control V paste, you can see there's product title ID. ID inside of here. So I can call this, if I want to, product ID. I can save that, and then when I go run this again, it's going to pop it up again. I can say show all products, and now you can see it says product ID. I've changed it right there. All right, so I did need to restart it just to make sure I loaded that up all correctly. It may or may not have done it on a refresh, depending on how the server's working. But then that's where this text comes in. Now, going back here, that's the name on this guy, and then the pound item ID is coming from this product class. So when it goes and gets a data item, it's getting the ID from here. There's a method inside of here called get ID. There's a method called set ID. There's a method called get name, set description, set description. That's what's being referred to here when I say name.id. named. Second column then is description. Third is price. Fourth is the buttons that go next to that. If you go back and look at this, so you can see. Let's say we wanted the price to come earlier. We can easily do that. We can reformat this however I want to. I can take the price. I got to be very careful. Go from the start of the column to the end of the column. I can move the price up. Let's say I want to put the price first. I have ID then price. I can save that. Then I can go back to my page and I can refresh my page. You can see the price has now been moved. I don't have to show each row because this magic little helper here, this custom tag, says you give me the format, I'm going to go through that for each one of the items. I'm going to show it 3 times or 10 times or 50 times based off of whatever the logic behind that says. And then I just show the formatting here. I can modify the text using the bundle, or I could hard code it if I want to. The great thing about the bundle is I can hand this file to anybody, and they can edit this text however they want to. They do not have to understand HTML. They don't have to understand Java or JSP or JSF. And this file can actually have language versions. I could put a Spanish version of this, a French version of this, a German version of this, and then have my website switch between versions of text on all my labels instantly, because all this would instantly become the product ID, price, name would become whatever the language was. All my button names would be inside of there. So that is how I display this one page. Let's talk really quick about how do I move between this stuff. So if I hit create new product inside of here, it takes me to, wait, it says list up here. Well, what happened? So let me come back to my list.html and look, search here for create. So down here, there's a command link. And command link is saying, hey, this is an HTML link that's going to act in a way that has some sort of behavior behind it. So I want to go to prepare create inside of here. So product controller, that's the same class over here. It's going to have a method inside of it called prepare create. And let's see if we can find it. Prepare create. So it blanks out the product, so it allows you to create a new product. It says the item index is -1, saying I am not editing one of the items inside of there. And then go to the page called create. So if I go back to my HTML page, it's not a page called create, it's list.html. Now this is a issue, I'd say probably a bad issue, in the way this JSF is implemented. Normally you would do a redirect that would get you to this saying create. Now if I say up here, let's say I make this price to be something there, I hit save, you can see ID field is required, name is required, there's validation built into this, and now it says create.xhtml. That's this page here, create.xhtml. And so this has a form inside of it to be able to set stuff, and then it has this panel grid with a 2-column panel grid, and inside of it you have label, input, label, input, label, input, and guess what that displays as? Label, input, label, input, label, input, label, input. And there's some basic validation because it knows the type based off of what was pulled from the database. And that's where it's saying, hey, these things are required. I have to have an ID. I have to have a description. And it actually converted my text into a number there, which is a little bit goofy, meaning that this is never absolutely all the way right. I can generate a website from here, but I probably am going to need to tweak it. I'm going to need to fix it. We don't have time in this class to, and we were not asked to be in this class to go off and tweak this stuff. I just want to show you where you can do that. So again, if you don't like the order of this stuff, if you want the price to come earlier, then you can take these two and move it up a little bit. And if I did that right, yes. No, did I do it right? Yes. Output label price. Yes. So I do that right here, save that, come by over here, I refresh this, I can do that. You can see now the price shows up higher. It's all customizable. It's generated for us, but it's not fixed. Again, I can say show index products. It starts with create. It's not a big deal because then when I hit view here, it shows list. It's just always one page behind up here because of the way it implemented it behind the scenes. There's other frameworks that'll do, basically it's a forward and redirect, and then it'll have this URL be proper. It's not the way this version of JSF implements it. So you just have to be aware of the conventions. You have to be aware of the way things are called. Now there is no configuration file here. The location of the configuration file, if you're curious, would be underneath the web XML. There's a faces config file that essentially is empty. it points to a bundle file. I could put configuration in here, but I don't need to, because what happens is I have a need to point to a bean. We saw in create, I'm pointing to, so I have bundle inside of here, and so bundle's name bundle. We actually saw that in the configuration. You see variables name bundle inside of here. But we also point to product controller dot. Now the reason this works is because our code is called product controller. If I want it to be named something else, I have to configure it as something else. But as long as the name matches the convention, the same class name with a lowercase p instead of an uppercase p, in this case, lowercase first letter, then I don't need to configure it. It's automatically configured. All right, so this is not enough to make you an expert at JSP. Hopefully it's enough to see what was built. You're not even required to change anything that was built. So what I would do is get everything working, zip it up, submit it, get your assignment done for the week, and then have some fun. See how you can break it, see how you can change it, see if you can put it back together again. Don't change anything too dramatic, otherwise you might get in over your head. But remember, you can always delete the whole project and start over in probably about 10 minutes time. So have fun, see what you can learn, and this is JSP.